Yeah, dude, we're just here. We're talking about different business principles and selling and marketing and pretty much all of the above in that genre of things. I I started watching a guy on YouTube actually. He gave me the idea. His name's Future. He does a lot of like role play and he has an audience to watch that and like it just seemed very cool to me. And in the Fort Worth area, I don't know of something like that. There's a lot of small businesses out here. There's tons actually, and I wanted to just like kind of put my name out there, but also help people out with that. And so DT, he's a lender. He deals with clients all the time, and that's kind of one of those things that we're getting into today is just your network. And this is a very basic principle, it really is, but it's kind of the starting line. So we're going to get into that, and we're also probably going to do. I actually have one client interaction that I do want to talk about, so we'll go through that as well. But yeah, man, here we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just piggyback on network and, networking, it's, how do you kind of look into it is, you want to keep on the way I'm looking at it. I'm sorry. I don't know how everyone network is, but networking, it's, the way I look at it, you want to relate to somebody. It's not just, business transactions. Yes, it is. But remember, just network. If they think you're just all about business, then yes, some other business associate will probably look at you that way. But you're here to also, the main goal is to build a relationship with them. You want that relationship to reciprocate. Back and forth. Like you don't want to feel like, hey, I'm giving this guy all the time, and is he giving me anything back? Like sometimes it's a little bit difficult as a loan officer. You have a lot of your friends and family or realtors per se, the realtors bring you some lead, and of course there's time you bring them back lead, but I feel like it's a lot of back and forth a little bit. But
well, look, one thing I'll say is like one thing that helps me out with networking specifically is just not putting weight on it. So like if I go out somewhere and I'm like eating food or whatever I'm doing, and I talk to people, I consider that networking. Now the only reason I do say that is because like I don't know, man. Sometimes, dude, people get really way too like businessy about it.
Yeah,
it should come be that.
It's like what I told you before. Like me, I see that in myself, and I'm slowly steering away from it as I come off too much like a salesperson, like a hustler. Like I'm like, hey, I'm all about trying to get the extra
you get
dollar.
That deal, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
wheeling and dealing.
Exactly.
Dude.
I mean, like I'm just so used to that life that I got to understand that that's a big turnoff because outside looking in, when I look at it myself, I'm like, holy shit, dude, and no one wants to be sold. Like, let's face it, I hate being sold, but I'm like, I respect the hustle. So sometimes, like, just because you respect the hustle and you respect what they're doing, like, it's like one thing that just came up to mind was getting your shoes clean in the middle of the mall when you're walking, right?
Right.
So he's hustling. That you're gonna get one of your shoe clean, but on the other hand, like since you spent that time with him, now you feel somewhat obligated to buy it, right?
Right.
And sometimes you don't, but like you got to understand, like the more you stay in front of people and engage with people, it's not like you feel obligated, but then they feel like, all right, I'm spending a lot more time with them, and then like slowly but surely you'll feel like, all right,
well, dude,
how does it go?
What you're doing, like lending, is it's a life decision that they're making. If you expect them to be like cool with this thing in one interaction, that's crazy. And like you almost have to be a part of their life. So that means you're actually building the relationship first. And so that's what I'm saying. Like whenever I'm meeting people, it's like it all like, how do you say this? It all comes like at some point, like it all happens. So, if you're building relationships, the rest of that will come, like
correct.
I do a video business and I've got clients from people that I know because they've known me for a while.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no trust.
Correct. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing where right now, think about it, in my side of the world where I'm doing lending for people, right? I mean, you have people who just rate shop. Like they just want the best, lowest price ever. But I mean, like sometimes they could be loyal, sometimes they're not. Yeah. Most of the people, like I met people where they're all about just the number. And if you're not going to give it to them, they know how to play like the bidding war game, right? So they'll go to you, like even though we're in the same company, they'll go to me and then they'll go to somebody in my company and they're trying to get us to go back and forth. Or even most of the time it's with another company, because if it's within the house, we know, we'll tell each other like, hey, we know what they're trying to do, right? But anything else, you got to know your value. Like, why we charge this much, why we do this is because, hey, this is what you're getting out of it. Like we're making sure that your thing's up to a T, your I's are dotted, like everything's all like it's good to go. And like you said, it's building a relationship. You got to understand, like this is their first largest purchase, or maybe second, third purchase, right? But they know to trust you because, they're sending all you these personal information. Like, even as friends, like sometimes friends and family, like some people don't feel comfortable sharing what they make. Right?
Yeah, even with their family, dude. It's
exactly.
Crazy.
I mean, like,
it's
but
crazy.
That's where I'm like, man, you're losing business.
I say it's crazy. That's me. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, but that's the thing, like that's the trust that we, once you build that relationship with them, like, hey, I get it. And, even though we're friends and family, I'm not here to share how much you make with everybody else. That's business. You got to learn how to set things apart.
Yeah.
But with that being said, sometimes people just, a lot of people have trust issues. I get it. I mean, like I'm one of those person, and you get into a certain circle with me, like I'm gonna be on the fence a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, I know, I totally get that. I have a question. So on networking, do you think that networking events are helpful?
Yes and no. The reason why I lean more toward no is because, how many people is approaching that same person with your same mind spec? Like what they're going to get like so many business cards. Like, I've been to realtors where I'm meeting a bunch of realtors. Unless you somehow personally connect with them somehow and they feel the same way, I would say that's worth it. But most of the time, like you get the same people attacking you. Like, hey, I got 5 Joe Schmoes coming over at me.
Yeah, I just feel like you go and you just share cards and then nothing happens. That's how I've looked at it anyway in the past. Like a lot of networking events I go to, it's like that. Yeah, there's some mutual connections, but usually it's whenever I'm not worried about my business card. But everyone doing that just is so funny to me. Watching that happen, you're like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, same thing with like, where we're going to go in a little bit. It's
like, go to another random business and throw down your business card.
But here's the thing.
It's probably worth it.
The reason why I say to keep doing what we're doing is the network we're doing is we're going to, this breakfast place with realtors and, there's other loan officers and other people in this industry. What I want to do is like, I'm telling myself, I'm just staying in front of these people. Remember, I just met Natasha there and she's new and so are we, So I'm like, all right, if you can relate with some people, because I spoke with her on the phone and she's like, hey, I like the way your vibe is, like when people meet people, they feel your vibe instead of like, hey, I got referred to you by John and then John just calls me.
They can feel the atmosphere out.
Correct. So you can get that little bit of vibe that's going on. Like, all right, this is a genuine person. And I told her, hey, I'm genuine. I'm not here to be shady or anything like that. I'm straightforward with you. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, hey, you got to lay it out there, but yet, you got to build that trust because, nowadays everybody texts, right? You can't really build trust in text.
No, not at all, dude. I hate it.
And so do I.
I can't stand it, bro.
But that's the generation we're moving to.
I'm not good at texting, to be honest with you. Like when I text, clients think I'm mad or they don't know. They have no idea. So or you go over the top and you're like sending emojis, dude. Oh my They're like, oh, we can't do it. I can't do it. And I
mean, unless you got somebody old school too, like they're like, man, stop. Like me, I had it with my like family before, like, if I call you, please call me back. Don't text me back, dude. I mean, because I call because I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I can get my point across talking easier than just texting because, texting can lead to you're going to ask fucking 5,000 questions.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
And I'm just like, no, like just help me out here.
Even at BMW was that way, dude. Like texting clients, a lot of them, you never know what you're going to get. Some of them loved it. Some of them hated it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, all the technology when we were at BMW Bronson, that's moving toward the new wave of, hey, texting, it's instant. That's what the world became. Like everybody want everything instantly.
You're right, dude.
So.
Well, I also don't really love phone calls. Like I'm just such an in-person guy, and so
some people are like
can't do that, man. Yeah, dude. Oh, so like yesterday, so I went to a meeting. This is the client interaction I kind of want to talk to you about. I kind of want to go over it. I don't know what you think. I mean, I will get your ideas.
Pick your brains on it.
Yeah, dude. So I met with this guy. He runs it's called E-Muscle Cars.
Okay.
They take old like hot rods and like muscle cars and they make them electric, an EV. It's pretty intense, dude. It's pretty sick. He wants me to.
Definitely a certain crowd there, but go on.
Dude, who is he selling to? That's what I was thinking, right?
The newer kids.
Bro, I get there. Dude, I get there. No, dude, I get there. And it's because it's maintenance free. All the old dudes that have muscle cars want it done.
Oh, wow. Maintenance free. That's...
It's maintenance free. It's electric. It's all electric. And the brakes are regenerative, like super regenerative because it's an electric vehicle. And like, you don't really have to change anything. Oh, Isn't that crazy?
That's...
it's pretty intense,
he's probably
right?
onto something.
Bro, he is, because I walk into his freaking shop and it's like nice. He has like, he's already built like several cars and he's like, these things are like 200 plus a pop, grand. because you have to get the car first if they don't have their car already.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got a lot of stuff going on. He wants media done. He doesn't have anyone that does media for him, and he wanted someone that kind of knows cars. He's like, yeah, this will be better for us, whatever. He kind of wants someone 1 day a week, all that. But here's the thing, dude. Here's what I don't know how to navigate. I never knew how to navigate this. It's so nice for us to have a budget. Like, it's very nice. We need to have a budget. Almost, I don't know. I think anyone that sells anything should try to get a budget. Like, is that one of the first questions you ask?
Well, I mean, one of the first questions, we have multiple. So I'm listening to this podcast called the Loan Officer Podcast, right? And they always tell you to go over PAIL, PAIL. So, in the lending, there's a lot of other people use other acronym. One of my bosses use CIA, so it's credit, income, asset, right? But the PAIL is property, asset, income, and liability. So, we use that, but you ask certain questions and not too direct to them. Like, nobody want to ask like, hey, how much do you make? Yeah. You ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? And then kind of let them collaborate, because you got to understand, like, when you talk to people, they're going to let you know what they do. And then, of course, that's when you're able to dig further.
Because you're dealing with individuals. That makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Well, so this guy, I already know what he does for a living, obviously, because I walk in and he owns the place, right? He's an engineer. So that's the other thing. I'm like, engineers usually have a specific thing in mind. They
usually
very have the analytical, right?
They like their stuff like in a box. Like, so all right, you got to let me know A, B, C, D. Right. They are very.
So I'm like, where's your spreadsheet of your budget? He said, our budget's flexible.
Yeah, I mean,
what does that mean? What do I do to that?
I mean, if he's talking about paying you wise and budget, then you got to make sure you're compensated to, once a week, all right. And then you got to understand, like, as you guys progress, you'll
get more. It'll
exactly.
Change.
So you let them know from, like, hey, this is the budget, but obviously it can flex depending on how much you need or how much more. Because as you grow, and we will grow, and let them know that, like, hey, you're gonna grow, and if you're gonna start needing me more, just let them know, like, hey, this is just like a rubber band. It's gonna expand and go in and out, right? So I would definitely lay it out front, but
but do you do like
sell yourself short either?
For sure. But would you do so? Normally I do like a package pricing type deal. That's how I usually roll with that. It'll be like, say for Cherry, for instance, I'm like, hey guys, I'll do 1 day or 2 days a month, but it'll be a total of 4 hours of production. Yeah. So me actually shooting like with a camera, and then I'll give you 10 reels. I'll give you 30 posts to post, so you have a daily post, and then I'll give you, like, there's some other editing things I'll add.
Have you ever thought about posting for them? Becoming like where
do their whole social media like content
a little more, because I know people back home, they pay for stuff like that.
I know they do. I have thought about it. I haven't gotten to that point yet where I really want to take that on, and then I'll say this is like $1,300 a month. Okay, that's what I'll do. It's like, here you go, boom, done. For him, I don't want to do that because it's not like that. It's not the same thing. It's not a retail shop. He's going to grow. It's a whole thing. It's different. So I kind of want to say, here's a starting line, and here's where we could end up. But that's why he said flexible. I'm like, well,
yeah. I mean,
what do we do here?
Then you're just going based on what he's saying, right? So because he's telling you it's flexible, you in your mind you're trying to adapt to what he said, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, on your mind, you got to understand, like, you can take that flexible equation out the way and just be like, all right, this is what I normally do.
Just ignore it.
Tell him,
almost ignore it, and just do what I need to do to get the right price.
Like anybody else, like when you're shopping for certain things, like, you can go shop A and B, or if you shop A, like, they're going to give you two options. Which option you can take? You can give that to them, like, hey, we got this or this.
Yeah.
Because, people like options, but on the other hand, like, you do want to see it where, I'm flexible, and like, you're just trying to accommodate to him because, like anybody else, like, you're probably like me, like, I'm just trying to gain your business, so I'm going to want to accommodate to you. But yet you still also want to be firm, like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I do. And if you want more, then obviously the flex will come into play. Like, if you want, like, hey, no, I want 3 videos or whatever videos. So set your standard. Your standard is pretty much like your minimum. Hey, this is what I normally do for this.
Yeah, you're right. I could do that. This is my package pricing, and then I'm also willing to do something different, and then give them that idea. That's good, man. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, was that your phone? Oh, that was your phone. Cool. We're good. Cool, man. Well, that's awesome. This is a shorty, I think. This podcast has gone probably not even, maybe 30 minutes. How long do you want to go on this podcast? What are you thinking?
It doesn't matter, man. I mean, we still got a little bit more time before we drive on and go to our next event, but, I'm very open to, talk about whatever.
What about this past week, dude? You have any weird interactions yet or no? Clients or not really?
This past week? No, I'm still working on the same people right now.
Yeah.
But I do need to touch base with a couple follow-ups that I have on my emails.
Well, maybe talk about, since we're talking about networking, the like misconception of like how long it takes.
So
you know what I mean?
Back to that, where I don't know if I touch base with it, but the reason why we go to this networking one, where I talk a little bit about Natasha and like meeting somebody who's just joined the industry, and that's great. They met you and they felt your vibe. But the reason why I do this networking now is like I missed maybe a week or maybe two since I started, but I wanted to keep staying in front of these people. Like, the more they see you, the more, like I used to say out loud, and I used to say to myself, if you're not in mine, you're not in line. Because remember, if they're not thinking about you, you're not in line. So, I mean, like,
what a one-liner, dude.
Yeah,
it's great.
I mean, that's one thing I used to love, where I'm like, all right, that's doing with a lot of other stuff personally, like, relationships, like back then I was like, man, if I'm not on her mind or she's not on my mind, I'm not in line. So that was one thing as growing up as a kid, like a teenager, that's that phase where, you wanted to be with, a significant other or, somebody else. But, even with that, I put that in a business aspect and everything like that, where I'm like, all right, when I was at BMW, like I stopped getting texts because they know I'm not at BMW anymore. But I used to be in mine where, they get in their car service or anything like that, I'll get texts from my clients all the time. But now that I see that it slowly phase out, and, I still keep in contact with a couple of them. They, if they have questions, I'm always available to answer questions for them, just because naturally I like to help people. And, like my title is pretty much consulting / advising. I do advise you to do certain things, but I mean, like, hey, are you going to do it? That's up to you, right?
Right.
And sorry to spin it a totally different way from the networking
that's
aspect.
Good. That's great.
But no, I was just saying, the more you network, the more you stay in front of certain people.
You're right.
They will remember you. Yeah, you might not be their number one, but, with us in the lending, like, we don't even mind being number two. It's just the fact that give us a shot, because we're on the broker side, we are able to search so much avenues on what are the options you have. Like, hey, your client's not qualifying for a normal QM, which is, a qualifying mortgage. Let's think outside the box. Like, hey, let's, do they own a business? Let's use their business income if possible, or how much their business transactions making monthly. So there's multiple ways of getting lending out there. But of course, we try to train some of our realtors, because even realtors themselves, they don't understand that there is other loan options out there.
Yeah, there's alternative loans. You don't know. You never know.
Because like anything else, like me, when I first learned the mortgage industry, they're going to tell you to learn the basics.
Well, you were telling me, dude, almost pretty much you can get anyone can get a loan. Mm-hmm. It's just what
are you willing to pay?
What is it going to be? Yeah, what's the loan going to be like?
That's what it is. I mean, like a lot of people, like I talk about interest rate early, they just want about the rate. The rate really doesn't matter, man. I mean, it's what you can afford monthly. The rate's going to go up and down, but if you can afford that monthly, yeah, you are paying interest. But when it comes to buying a home, that's an investment. People don't look at it that way sometimes. They just think about the bottom dollar. Hey, I'm paying $500,000 and my interest rate is another $500,000 if you went to 30-year terms, right? So that there's life hacks and that, mortgage hacks that we teach people, and there is some, and it's all over the internet. But one thing that I told you, remember Jeremy, right?
Yeah,
Jeremy Ports. So I was telling him, like, hey, if you paid one extra mortgage payment a year toward principal, and if you're in a 30-year loan, it shaves off, I think, about 7 years. I mean, my numbers are not exact, but it does shave off so much interest because you're attacking your principal. So that's the thing that I told him. And, like anybody else, like, if you're like me, I hate paying interest. I hate paying extra into something that you don't need to. But of course it's America. America.
What is one thing, I'll end it with this. So what is one thing you would tell somebody starting out about networking? Mm-hmm. Like, so, cause you know how people are. So like one thing not to do. How about that? What's one thing that they shouldn't do? Something that's obviously just like blatantly whatever.
Don't sell yourself too much. Like,
nice.
When you meet somebody right off the back, you're selling what you do, right? Don't do that. I mean, it's like,
nice.
I would say don't do that because, I'm trying not to do that because, of course, when people meet you, they're going to ask you what you do.
Bro, no one likes it, dude.
Yeah.
No one wants that,
But
bro.
if they're asking you what you do, then of course they gave you an open-ended question. So and they are curious into you.
And if you've been through enough conversations without selling yourself at the beginning, you'll realize it always gets brought up.
Oh yeah,
no matter what, it gets brought up.
It's it's just like nature almost. Like
Bro.
with me, like I'm always like my back of the mind's always hustling. So I'm like, when are you going to tell them that you want to make some money?
Yeah.
You know?
What are you going to tell them? You're hustling, bro.
I mean, hustling, it's just like that word is good and bad because it just
funny.
sounds like you're just, taking advantage of somebody, but yet you're just working, right? But I mean, outside looking in, just,
There's definitely a whole hustle culture that like has made it networking a little bit toxic in a way, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm just, man, you can't do that. You can't sell right off the bat. You can't do that. And like I've been through so many conversations where someone I'm with may know what I do, and they'll mention it for me.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's great. That's a rapport, and like trust in the other person that you're talking to. But like for me, it's almost always my entry point is always podcasting. I don't know why. Well, because I do it a lot, but like. They'll be like, oh my gosh, you have a podcast? And like, I didn't even ask them. I didn't tell them. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. And
somehow they're like telling me about this thing. And I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, I also do video production.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like so easy.
It's good stuff, man. I'm glad you did what you did.
And it doesn't matter if they don't like it either, by the way. Yeah. They're not always going to care.
That's one thing you got to learn. Like, hey, it's, I go to the gym in the morning whenever I do get a chance to go, and I, shoot basketball every morning, right? And I tell myself, and obviously I'm going to tell my kids and whoever else, like, if you don't attempt to take that first shot.
You do that every morning?
I try to.
Whoa. I didn't know you were a basketball player.
I mean, not player, but I mean, I just like to shoot around. But no, I mean, I would tell myself, like, if you don't take that first shot, you don't know if, let's say you miss that first shot, right? And like everybody is scared to, miss and get denied, right? But if you don't take that first shot, what have I told you? If you miss that first shot, you're going to make the next 4. How about that? You ever thought about it like that? No one does. But no one does. Like, you got to understand, like, you got to keep trying.
Right.
You got to keep attempting. I mean, like if you're not attempting, it's not even.
What are you doing? Why aren't you attempting? That's the other thing. Yeah. Because I've been through so many clients that deny me because of price or deny me because of this and that. I just keep going,
You have to.
And I say that as if like it hasn't been said before. It's still hard. It still sucks. Like sometimes I really wonder. That's why I'm worried. That's why I was asking you the questions about this client. I'm worried about. I don't want to get rejection. I still don't want to get rejection. I mean, you do get rejected a lot, but like you still don't like it.
Yeah. So that's why I can see exactly what you said earlier. Like, hey, you want to go to his flexibility. You don't want to lose that.
I don't want to lose that.
Exactly.
Dude.
You don't want to lose a client. So I would say just try to build a more rapport with him, like a personal relationship to where I'm like, hey. And the thing is, like, he knows that. I mean, I hope he knows that cars also. Like,
well, dude, this guy came from because we went. So here's the thing, this is a networking freaking lesson right here, dude. 4 years ago, I rented a garage with him in Deep Ellum in Dallas, and he had the garage just because he didn't have a garage at home. So it was like his shop type thing. He like brewed beer and stuff in there. I don't know. It's kind of cool. He's cool. His name's Kevin. Anyway. And I worked on cars in that garage. That's the only reason he knows me at all. Nice. So when we kind of talked about business sometimes and all that stuff, I didn't even have this video gig. I didn't have anything going really as far as businesses go. I hadn't started the podcast, well, maybe it was like 5 years ago. Holy crap. Anyway, it was a long time ago, dude. The point is, it came back around because he messaged me and he's like, hey, man, I've been seeing you do media because he's been following me on social media, and here we are. I didn't try to sell to him at all.
So the good thing about that is, like, you already got a relationship pass with him. So if he say he has a flexible budget also, I'm pretty sure he wants to work with you. Yeah. And, like, is willing to make it work. And obviously, if you know him to where you had past relationship with him, I would say he will work with you. I mean, yes. And the thing is, like, you want to be fair, but you also don't want to sell yourself short.
Right.
And, let him know, like, hey, if you want to do what we do sometime in our business, is like, give them a little bit of a break and let them know, hey, I do work on referrals.
Well, that's the other thing.
Some people do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, because there's time where we cut prices on our end, but we eventually, when it comes to closing table, like, hey, just want I save you about $3,000. I work on referrals.
I always think that like real estate agents kind of like, are there people out there that screw you on that though?
There's this big lawsuit going on with this 3% buyer's fee. So, I mean, I'm not going to get into that because
is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, dude.
They talk about that all the time right now. So right now I think there's changing coming. I didn't even know. I don't know how soon it's going to happen.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought about just telling them this, like, let's go on a trial for a month and I'll do what I do. Mm-hmm. And we'll kind of get the gauge of what you really want so we can get down to the nitty gritty and be specific. The trial's
still prepaid, right?
You want him to pay for the trial?
I would. I mean,
still?
Like, it's like
just pay a less fee or something?
No, it's just like, hey, it's a 90-day trial. You still pay me, but if you don't like it, you get the money back.
Oh, get the money back.
So I
we
mean,
go.
like,
That's good.
you know, you don't
Get your
tell
money
them,
back.
you don't tell them the money back, because then some people could hustle you, but like, all right, I'm gonna get this guy a trial and just get his free
Get 3
shit.
months for media, and then we're good, and he has content forever. Here's what he doesn't know. If I did that, I would say you lose all your content because I'm the one that stores all of it
Correct.
on that
So
box
then
over
there
there.
goes to that copyright thing where that comes up to another.
My media.
Exactly. So that's good, because I forgot where I'm trying to spin this, but I know it's like kind of like a Dave Chappelle. You see how he had no rights because
Yeah.
Comedy Central.
Yeah,
owned
dude.
his
That's why
shit.
he's like, what the heck? It's crazy.
I mean,
man.
I get it, and things like that's why, you know, people learn.
Yeah.
It's all a learning session, but like
For sure.
it brought up to him like, I'm like, man, he get no royalty on Chappelle's show. That's
Right.
fucking crazy.
What are we going to call this, dude? What is this thing we're doing right now?
Just, you know, fucking 8 a.m. fucking morning session.
8
I
a.m.
don't
morning
know, man.
session? The
Yeah.
morning session
The morning
with Skye
session.
and DT. All right, we're going to do this more often. What do you think?
I like it, man. I mean, I don't mind
cool.
it. Yeah, we'll try to get it where, I mean, we can technically do it like this every Wednesday.
We could do it
right
every
before
Wednesday, but
we go to this thing, and if something else changed, but yeah, I don't mind
We'll figure it out. All right, guys, it's been a nice little podcast. You guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want any information about this or want to message us, obviously you can hit up DT on Facebook, I guess, right?
Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but you know, I gotta get my TikTok handle out there because I have not joined the TikTok
Social media
world
is not
yet.
really your thing right now, dude.
But I mean, it needs to be. I mean, if we're live on podcasts like this, like
Yeah.
you need to somehow get more networking, because
Right.
you know, like it's just nice to get yourself out there.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You guys can follow me at ADHD Media Guy on Instagram and pretty much everywhere else, same handle. So cheers, guys.
Adios.